Murder Weekly now has merch. Find shirts, mugs, and more with the Murder Weekly logo for sale at our merch store. There's free shipping and 10% off now with the coupon NEWMERCH10. Did we mention there's free shipping? Check out all the goods at calaroga.com, that's CALOROGA.com, or just look for the link in the show notes. Thanks for supporting the show. We really appreciate it.
Calaroga Shark Media. Hello and welcome to Murder Weekly. This episode is titled Shadows of All Hallows Part 1, The 13th Victim.
Detective Sarah Reeves had always hated Halloween. The garish decorations, the sugar-hyped kids, the adults using the holiday as an excuse to act like fools, it all grated on her nerves. But this Halloween was different. As she navigated her sedan through the fog-shrouded streets of Cedar Grove, Sarah knew this would be a night she'd never forget. The call had come in just as she was about to crawl into bed, her small apartment still strewn with unpacked boxes from her recent move. Possible 187 at 13 Maple Street, the dispatcher had said, her voice tight with tension. Captain wants you on this one, Reeves. Sarah had been with Cedar Grove PD for just 3 months, a transfer from Boston following events she'd rather forget. She was still the new kid, still proving herself. And now, on the biggest party night of the year, she was being called to a potential homicide. As she turned onto Maple Street, the flashing red and blue lights of police cruisers painted the brownstone facades in an otherworldly glow. A small crowd had already gathered, neighbors in bathrobes and hastily thrown-on coats, their faces a mix of morbid curiosity and genuine fear. The crisp October air bit at Sarah's cheeks as she stepped out of her car. She took a moment to survey the scene, her trained eye picking up details others might miss. The perfectly manicured lawn, the expensive cars in the driveway, the tasteful Halloween decorations that spoke of money and refinement. "Detective Reeves, over here!" Officer Johnson's voice cut through the night. Sarah had worked with Johnson on a few cases since her arrival. He was young, eager, and had a good head on his shoulders. Tonight, though, he looked shaken. Sarah ducked under the yellow police tape, nodding to the uniformed officers as she passed. "Talk to me, Johnson. What have we got?" Johnson swallowed hard before responding. "Female victim, mid-50s, found in the study. It's not pretty, Detective. And there's something else, something that's got the captain spooked." Sarah's eyebrow arched at this. Captain Hendricks was a 20-year veteran, not easily rattled. "Let's take a look," she said, keeping her voice steady despite the unease growing in her stomach. As they climbed the steps to the victim's home, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of déjà vu. The jack-o'-lanterns on the porch, their candles long extinguished, seemed to grin mockingly at her. She'd seen a scene like this before back in Boston, but that was impossible. He was locked up, wasn't he? Inside, the house was immaculate, every surface polished to a shine. Family photos lined the walls, showing a smiling woman with graying hair alongside various military personnel. Sarah's cop instincts kicked into high gear. "Who was she?" she asked, her eyes never stopping their scan of the surroundings. "Colonel Margaret Holloway, U.S. Army, retired 2 years ago," Johnson replied, his voice hushed as if speaking too loudly might disturb the dead. "Neighbors say she kept to herself mostly. Widowed, no kids. Spent a lot of time at the VA hospital as a volunteer." Sarah nodded, filing away the information. A high-ranking military official? This was no ordinary homicide. As they approached the study, the metallic scent of blood grew stronger. Sarah steeled herself and stepped inside. The scene was horrific, worse than anything she'd encountered in her 10 years on the force. Colonel Holloway lay sprawled across her desk, blood pooling around her. But it was the deliberate arrangement of objects around the body that made Sarah's blood run cold. "No, it can't be," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Johnson looked at her quizzically, but Sarah barely noticed. Her mind was racing, connecting dots she'd hoped never to connect again. Sarah approached the desk with trepidation. A jack-o'-lantern sat atop a stack of military documents, its carved face eerily similar to the victim's frozen expression of terror. A single candle flickered inside, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Around the pumpkin, arranged with meticulous care, were 13 objects: a toy soldier, a small American flag, a Purple Heart medal, a set of dog tags, and other military paraphernalia. 13 objects, 12 victims over 12 years, each killed on Halloween night, each scene meticulously staged, each victim connected to the military or government in some way. And now, unlucky number 13. "Johnson, clear the room, now," Sarah ordered, her voice leaving no room for argument. As the young officer ushered the crime scene techs out, Sarah pulled out her phone with trembling hands. She dialed a number she'd sworn never to call again. "Buchanan," a gruff voice answered on the third ring. "It's Reeves. We've got a problem." There was a long pause on the other end. When Buchanan spoke again, his voice was tight with tension. "Tell me it's not him." Sarah took a deep breath. All the hallmarks, the staging, the victim profile, the date, it's him, Book. The Halloween killer is back. Buchanan swore colorfully. "That's impossible. Chambers is still locked up in Supermax. I checked myself last week. Then we've got a copycat, a damn good one. Or a partner we never knew about," Buchanan added, voicing the fear Sarah had been trying to suppress. As they talked, Sarah's eyes never stopped roving over the crime scene. And that's when she saw it. Something out of place, something that didn't fit the killer's usual MO. With gloved hands, she carefully pried open the victim's clenched fist. "Book, I'm going to have to call you back," she said slowly. "There's something here, something new." In Colonel Holloway's palm was a small metallic object, no larger than a grain of rice, a microchip, military grade by the look of it. None of the previous victims had anything like this. Just as Sarah was about to call for the evidence tech, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Welcome to the game, Detective Reeves. You have 1 year to solve the puzzle. Tick-tock." Sarah's hand trembled as she lowered the phone. This was personal now. The killer knew her name, knew she was here. Was he watching even now? Suddenly, a commotion erupted outside. Sarah rushed to the window just in time to see a dark figure disappearing around the corner of the house. Without thinking, she bolted out of the room, down the stairs, and into the chilly night air. But as she reached the spot where the figure had been, she found only an empty street and a single playing card face down on the sidewalk. With trembling fingers, Sarah turned it over. The Jack of Spades stared back at her, a message scrawled across its face in red ink. "The game is bigger than you know. Trust no one." Sarah's mind reeled. The Halloween killer had never left messages before, never taunted the police. What had changed? And what did it mean? As she stood there, the card clutched in her hand, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just another serial killer case. The microchip, the message, the military connection, it all hinted at something far larger and more sinister. And somewhere in the back of her mind, a nagging thought surfaced. Could this somehow be connected to her partner's disappearance 3 years ago? The case that had driven her from Boston, haunted her nights, and nearly ended her career? What have I gotten myself into? Sarah whispered to herself, her breath misting in the cold air. Her phone buzzed again, this time a call from an unknown number. Her finger hovered over the screen for a moment before she answered. "Detective Reeves," she said, her voice betraying a hint of trepidation. A distorted voice replied, sending chills down her spine. "You're digging too deep, Detective. Walk away now or the next victim's blood will be on your hands." "Who is this? How did you get this number?" Sarah demanded, her free hand clenching into a fist. "The next piece awaits. Halloween Eve, 1 year from now. Stop us if you can," the voice taunted before the line went dead. Sarah stared at her phone in disbelief. The killer had her personal number. They were always one step ahead. And what did they mean by us? Was there more than one killer? As she turned back toward the house, Sarah caught sight of her reflection in a car window. She barely recognized the woman staring back at her. The bags under her eyes from too many sleepless nights, the tension in her jaw, the haunted look she'd carried since Boston. For a moment, she considered walking away, turning in her badge, moving to some small town where murders were something that happened on TV, not in your backyard. But then she thought of Colonel Holloway, of the 12 victims before her, of her missing partner, whose fate still gnawed at her conscience. And she knew she couldn't walk away. Not now. Not ever. As the first light of dawn began to creep over the horizon, Sarah made a silent vow. She would solve this case, no matter the cost. For the victims, for her missing partner, and for her own peace of mind. Little did she know she had just taken her first step into a web of lies, deceit, and a conspiracy that reached to the highest levels of power. The game had begun, and the stakes were higher than she could ever imagine. In the coming months, Sarah would question everything she thought she knew about justice, about loyalty, about the very foundations of the country she had sworn to protect. She would face challenges that would push her to her physical and mental limits, and she would be forced to confront the darkest parts of her own past. But for now, as she walked back into the house to face the grim task ahead, Detective Sarah Reeves had only one thought. The Halloween killer was back, and this time she would stop him, whatever it took. Will Sarah unravel the mystery before it's too late? Can she trust anyone as she delves deeper into this deadly conspiracy? And what connection does this case have to her own troubled past? Join us next time for Episode 2 of Shadows of All Hallows, Ghosts of the Past, as the stakes get higher and the mystery deepens.
Murder Weekly is a Calaroga Shark media production, written and hosted by Aidan I. Flanagan, produced by Mark Francis, executive producers Mark Francis and John McDermott. Portions of this podcast may have been created with the assistance of AI.
This show, along with hundreds of others from Calaroga Shark Media, is available commercial-free on any player, hassle-free. Just look for the link in the episode or show notes.
Calaroga Shark Media.